Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Spanish Standard Radio. I'm your host, Enrique Sanchez. This evening, we have a special guest. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, everybody. My name is Farbod Azima. I'm a real estate agent at eXp Realty, and my license number is 020139008. And thank you so much for inviting me to the show, Enrique.
It's my pleasure. So, as you know, Spanish United, we always like to cover, topics relating to the Hispanic community. So, one of the things we would like to ask for the audience is how is the real estate market in California, and how is real first time buyers that are minorities that are buying homes. So give a little bit of a feedback on that.
Sure, sure. There's a lot to talk about, so let's unpack some of that stuff.
Sure.
So, how is the market in real estate right currently? Let's see. California real estate market is going strong. Generally, it's been But it's been challenging though for buyers because price kind of like remains high and inventory is limited, and it's kind of like uh, the median like home price in California is expected to reach around probably $905,000 in 2026, something
Okay.
like, which is about like 3.6% increase from 2025.
Okay.
But however, the market is slowly improving because mortgages rates are stabilizing and more homes are like coming back into the market. And that basically means like the buyers may see more opportunity compared to like last year.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So what about percentage of Hispanic or minority buyers? Are you seeing like an increase of first time buyers that are Hispanic, or is it about the same?
Well, Hispanic ownership rate has been going anywhere between, I want to say 47 to 49%, with more, so some with like, I want to say with more than 10 million Hispanic owners in the United States, it should be on record about. I mean, in fact, when you think about it, Hispanic households have been responsible for a very large portion of new homeownership growth in these recent years.
That's
So,
good.
so definitely expect to drive future. Definitely expect to drive future housing demands for that.
Nice. So my question is what do you think the housing market in general can do, like to improve people buying homes, and how can homes become more affordable to those that are first time buyers?
Good questions. Very good questions. Let's see. I would say the first thing is I would probably look into um, getting getting. Here's the thing: like a lot of first-time home buyers don't have the capital to purchase real estate. So my first thing is trying to get approved by a lender
Okay.
for your loan. So basically, there's government-backed loans are actually pretty good and very common to get for real estate. There are many first-time buyers that use government loans that really requires low down payments, such as the FHA loans, allows
Hmm.
buyers to purchase about 3.5% down. There's VA loans you can get, but you have to be a veteran for that. Often requires 0% down payment, but of course, is for again qualified military buyers. And then we have USDA loans, which offer 0% down for areas if you want to purchase that are not in the city or that are not in the town, like rural areas, basically like farm areas. These
Hmm.
loans definitely make it possible to buy homes without needing a large savings or amount of money down payments.
That's cool.
Down.
That's cool.
I also want to mention that we have down payment assistance programs in case people don't know for first time home buyers.
Hmm.
So like let me explain that one too, because that's an interesting one. There's over 2,000 like home buyer assisting programs in the US, and most of these payment assistant programs will help with down payment and closing costs, which are huge, right?
Hmm.
So grants and loans that help pay between $5,000 and $25,000 towards down payment. So this is really helpful for first-time home buyers,
Hmm.
and local programs that can offer up to 20,000 or more for first-time buyers. And let's see, there's also like some California programs can also provide up to 20% of home price or about $150,000 in assistance for eligible buyers. You'll have to look that up to see what programs offer those. I could probably help my clients look for those as well. But there's a lot of programs that would significantly, amazingly reduce the cash needed up front that'll help it make buying a home for your first time a lot affordable and a lot easier going forward.
Hmm. Yeah, because one of the things in Spanish United is that, we try to encourage Hispanics to buy homes,
Mm,
because when you rent, you're not building equity, you're just giving your money away to someone that,
that's true.
that doesn't care about your living conditions. But, for many Hispanic people, and particularly, that want to own homes, not just in California, but throughout the United States, the issue of affordability is a problem. When I used to work in the financial industry 11 years ago, one of the things I would do in and plan with families, particularly Hispanic families, is the importance of having good debt and bad debt. Good debt meaning we'll be having a mortgage, having a car payment, and bad debt is, buying luxuries that you cannot afford. So that's how people can create equity in buying a home.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're 100% right about that. Good debt and bad debt. In real estate, we have a term for that actually. We call it voluntarily lien and non-voluntary. Wait,
Mhm.
the thing is like financial. We have like so like basically, um, okay, so if you look at it this way, when you buy a home, right? A lot of people who buy homes for the first time or are looking into buying a home for the first time, they always look for, hey, I want to own something and I want it to cost less. But the
Mhm.
thing about home ownership is you don't entirely own your home, unfortunately,
Right, of
because
course.
because not only do you have to pay for the mortgage, once you pay off the mortgage, you still have to pay taxes.
Right.
So technically speaking, the government basically owns the home. You don't. You just pay less, but you still are responsible for things like if you live in an HOA environment. HOA is homeownership associations. So if you're living in an environment where you need to pay HOA dues and you need to follow a lot of those guidelines. But if you don't live within that community and you have your own home outside of townhouses, outside of HOA communities, then you're still going to be responsible for certain living conditions, unfortunately. But it's a good thing because you still have more control over your own home. Another thing about financial, the good debt and bad debt ratio is that you're basically um, I'm losing track. I'm sorry. My mind's like all over the place. So if you really want to think about it, when you own a home, it's not exactly an asset. It's still considered a liability until you're making money off it. Because a lot of
Mhm.
new homeowners are thinking, I'm going to buy a home and that's going to be my asset.
Right.
But they make that big mistake. They're not realizing that that's still a liability. As long as you still have to pay for the power, the bills, the trash, everything that goes along with it, the taxes, the mortgages, you're still have a lot. That's still a liability. You're still paying for that. Only this time you are paying and managing all of that. It's not as simple as dealing with a homeowner. If you are a person who is renting, if you're a tenant renting, all you got to do most of the time is just pay for the very basics and pay for the money you need to pay for the landlord, and you're good to go. But when you become a homeowner, that's a massive responsibility. That is not just okay, I own a home, everything is fine now. It is okay, now you have a lot more to think about because now you have more responsibility since now this is yours for the most
Mhm.
part, minus the whole taxing, because obviously you have to pay your taxes,
Right, of course. And
Uh, yeah.
that's the thing that, people don't realize that when they, buy, like, aside from having their official home, they want to buy like extra property thinking, oh, I'm gonna have all these assets. It's a pro and con, like you said, unless you have the property pay off, if you still have to, you know, make payments on the mortgage, that's where it could become problematic, where people could get into debt. They have to pay a lot out of pocket, and that's where it tends to be complicated.
You know, this is another interesting information that I think everyone should know if they don't know, if they're a first-time home buyer. I think that anyone who has never had, well, let me explain. So for low income buying program, there are low income buyer programs that exist out there for families who have never owned a home before,
Hmm.
right? This is actually something that might interest a lot of our viewers who probably want to own a home, but they've never had the opportunity to. So here's an example. There's a program called California Dream for All program. Okay, it helps first-time generation buyers to cover up payments and closing costs through basically shared equity loans. So it's called the California Dream for All program. These are to
Hmm.
aim to help more families build wealth through like ownership.
Hmm.
So you could do that if you want to what do you call it? Have an easier way to own a property and you don't have a lot of income, but you want to
Hmm.
build a path to get to that.
Right.
And speaking of building a path, right? Um, for the very first step, the homeowners need to do. Do you know what that is? Like the first time home buyers need to do. Do you know what that is? The very first step?
Is to put on a down payment, first down payment.
No, no, it is to improve your credit score.
Oh, of course.
100%. So if you're thinking right now, I want to buy a home, the first thing you got to do, no matter what, is to improve your credit score. Because if you have really, really bad, low credit score, you're going to have a really hard time getting anyone wanting to give you a loan for a home.
Hmm.
This is number one, right?
Hmm.
And then once you improve your credit score, you want to also have, you also want to know the next step, the second step is basically saving for the down payment, which you were
Hmm.
thinking, right? Because
Right.
you could have down payment, but if your credit score is really bad, then the down payment increases
Hmm.
because you're more of a risk, right? But if
Hmm.
your credit score is really high, right, then you're not much of a risk, so you don't need as much as down payment. And plus, you have all of these other programs to help you with paying some of that stuff off. So saving for your down payment is the next step, as well as emergency funds. You don't want to mix your emergency fund with your down payments and your savings because, again, they're going to look at that. Like the
Right.
creditors, they're going to look at that. They're going to be like, no, it doesn't look like you have your finances straight. We're not going to give you a loan. So that's something you might want to also look into. So number
Hmm.
one, improve your credit scores. You have a better chance of being approved for a low down payment. Plus, you have these programs to help you. Number two, save for a down payment, and as well as separate that down payment in your savings with emergency funds. Funds, so if you get sick or you need to go to the hospital, God forbid, you'll be able to actually afford it without screwing over everything else in your finances. So you have to basically understand your finances.
Hmm.
Number three, number three, this is number three, step number three, meet with the mortgage lender as early as possible.
Hmm.
Okay? Don't waste your time with mortgage lenders if your credit score sucks and you don't even have any down payments or anything like emergency funds separated. Because they're going to look at that stuff anyways and say, oh, you're not ready. So make sure you do that stuff before you meet the mortgage lender. And when you do, you may meet them early. Okay? You're not ready to buy a house until these steps are made first. Because if you're just going out there looking for homes because you're thinking about buying and you want to see what's out in the market, but none of that stuff is prepared, you're gonna it's gonna suck because then by the time you get everything ready to get that home is already gone.
Hmm. Of
So you're just
course.
wasting time. You don't want to waste time.
Right. It's
So
always
yeah,
best to be prepared.
speaking of being prepared, as soon as you're done meeting with the mortgage lender early to get that stuff sorted, the next step would be taking basically home buyer education classes. There are a lot of real estate agents, myself including, that are happy to educate buyers on what they can do. And we also teach classes. I can teach classes, privately. I do this all the time to what they must do to able to own a home, the responsibility of owning a home, and everything that goes along with the process of actually obtaining one. So definitely be happy to help out anybody who definitely needs that education. But for sure, definitely go through these steps and then get into the education classes that we provide, and you'll be ready to go.
Yeah, because people don't realize that as with anything, owning a home is not just owning a home, but there's comes responsibility. So that's why I always tell people within Spanish United, or let's say first time Latino buyers, I am not a realtor, but
Mm.
I have worked with people that wanted to buy homes, and I always tell them, there are pros and cons. Like if you want to, buy a home, start renting out for the time being, and then like you mentioned those steps, once you build up your credit or get your income going, that's where you do the process because people are so desperate and wanting to own homes that they'll just put all the money that they have down without knowing the consequences of not having your bases checked in order.
Yeah, everything, let me tell it to all of my audience here. Every action has consequences. Sometimes those consequences are good, sometimes they're bad, but reckless decisions can definitely cost you a lot. And everything when it comes to learning, right? This is important. When you want to learn, learning has a cost. Okay, how much
Hmm.
it costs depends on how you learn. You
Hmm.
can learn through experience and lose everything and realize I made a mistake. I should probably never do that again and probably tackle it in a different way. Or you can learn from other people's mistakes so that you don't end up making it and you make a better
Hmm.
decision.
Hmm.
There are
Oh,
many
absolutely.
ways to learn, but learning has cost.
Of
And
course.
what else has cost? Pride, right?
Hmm.
If too much pride can cost you a lot. Sometimes people are too proud and think they can do everything on their own. They don't need help. They don't need a real estate agent to guide them through. They think they can figure this out on their own. And
Hmm.
then next thing you know, it's going to cost them everything.
Hmm.
So unless you really know what you're doing and you're in this business or you work with people in this business who can guide you, I would probably, be a little more humble and try to learn from other people who may actually know what this stuff is and help guide you through. But most importantly, be very careful with agents too. I'm not saying blindly, listen to agents and follow their, guidance because there's a lot of times that there's a lot of agents as well that are very, very bad. They don't only care about their own self-interest rather than your own. That exists. That's a problem in this industry. And a lot of people don't see it, or a lot of people, because a lot of people don't talk about it,
Hmm.
unfortunately.
Yeah, many years ago, prior to working in the financial industry, I did consider becoming a realtor, but it was not for me at that time. So let's say for someone like me that wants to become a realtor, you think, I would have an opportunity to make sales.
Yeah, here's the thing. Well, real estate market is it's one game, right? How the real
Right.
estate market is doing. How is it going? Is how are the percentage of the buyers of this or that, or is it the seller's market or buyer's market, or is it in the fair market? It's one thing to be competitive when you're a seller trying to sell with other sellers doing the same thing, or if you're a bunch of buyers trying to compete over, purchasing a home that everyone wants and are looking at. But when it comes to the real estate industry competition, inside the business industry, that's different.
Hmm.
And when I say that's different, I mean a lot of agents are really trying to, take clients as much as they can, and there's not a lot of good agents. I'm sorry.
Hmm.
There's very few good agents. Most of them don't make it after like the first year or two. After the
Hmm.
first year or two, they finish. They say, okay, I can't do this. I'm not making any money off it. So I'm just gonna quit or find another job and then move on. Because
Hmm.
this business is extremely highly competitive amongst other agents. There
Hmm.
are a lot of agents who are there are a few agents who are happy to help you, right? Who are happy to guide you, who are happy to mentor you. But you have to also think about it like this perspective. What are they getting out of it? Right?
Hmm.
Because people don't help out people for the sake of helping. Because I tried that. And a lot of the times when I was new, when I got my license in 2016, and I tried to get mentorship, I've noticed that a lot of these agents don't want to spend time to mentor. And if they do, they want something out of it. And there's nothing wrong with wanting something out of it. It's completely fair. Everyone should be helping each other in the business and helping each other excel, push each other up. There's nothing wrong with it. And that's good. That's the way it should be, actually. But I've also met people who did not see it that way and they wanted to take advantage of new agents and get more benefits from new agents and give as little as possible back. I've
Hmm.
seen mentors who would say, instead of, or not just mentors, I've seen people who wanted to be partners, not mentors, partners. They claim that they're interested in partnership, and their version of partnership is you go out there, you market, you bring clients to me, I help negotiate, and we share the commission.
Hmm.
Maybe 50-50 or maybe a little more.
Hmm.
But I won't do that for you.
Hmm.
Meaning that I go out there, I make clients, right? I'm the new agent that is trying to be a partner with a more experienced agent. And I go out there as a new agent, I bring clients to work with my partner. My partner and I work together and close deals, and we both get our commission splits.
Hmm.
But my partner doesn't do that for me. My partner doesn't go out there and bring in clients and shares it with, helps me, lets me help him so that we can share. So he does it. He goes out there, he gets his commissions from working for his clients himself, and he doesn't bring me any clients, but he expects me to bring him clients so that we can share commissions.
Right. Got it.
You see
Got
that
it.
problem?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of abuse that happens like
Hmm.
this, and if you don't know your worth, if you don't know, there's also this like, if you don't know the value you're bringing, they will take advantage of you in the real estate industry. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
When
it's very cutthroat. It's similar to the financial industry where I worked in. I was bringing a lot of clients, I was closing deals, but my mentor wouldn't do his part as well, and it got to the point that I eventually had to quit because I was getting burnt out at the end.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean that still happens. It mostly happens in every industry, but I'm just bringing a realistic industry perspective for those who are interested in becoming real estate agents. I'm telling you right now, it's about 85% of people who get the real estate license, they don't make it.
Right, of course. And that's what I encourage people that if you're going to get into an industry, it doesn't matter if it's real estate or whatever, just to be extra sure that something that you want to do, that you're committed to, because, if you're going to go into an industry that you're not committed to or you're not aware or don't find interest in it, you're not going to make it. So that's very good advice that you're offering to the listeners.
Well, it's not only interest, but it's also non-interest. For
Right,
example, if you find, think about it, right? If you pick the most glamorous job, most glamorous thing that everyone wants to be a movie director, right?
right,
Everyone wants to be a film director, everyone wants to write a story. But here's the thing, who wants to be the guy who holds the microphone and records the audio, and that's all he does for a living?
right,
Not much people. It's not a very glamorous job, recording audio. It's
right.
actually the most underappreciated profession, but the most important because really bad sound can ruin the entire experience.
Oh,
You could
absolutely.
you could definitely forgive bad visuals. People can definitely forgive bad visuals, but they can never forgive bad sound. If something that sounds off, it really throws you off the immersion stuff. It throws you off and breaks the entire immersion completely, right?
Right,
So that's the thing. You gotta think of it this way. Sometimes it's not the thing that you mostly enjoy at the start. It's the thing that most people don't want to do and are willing to pay you for it. And
right,
has
of
the least
course.
competition. And one of those jobs is not real estate, unfortunately. Because
Hmm.
real estate is very glamorous. One of those jobs are, example, the guy who operates the microphone, who records audio for films or TV shows.
Hmm.
That is one of those jobs that not many people want, but people are willing to pay, and the competition is not as high. So because it's not very, very high, it's like pretty like available. You could get a job in that industry and do pretty well. if you put time on it, because you're gonna get a lot of people who want your work. Because no one
Mm.
wants to do it. There are also other professions that have very high value, but not many people want to do, and that's plumbing. Plumbers make a lot of money, but a lot of people don't look at that as a glamorous job, but it's an essential job. And so if anyone decides to move towards an industry like plumbing, they can make a lot of money because everyone needs a plumber. Not many people want to do it. They're willing to pay the price,
Right.
right?
The same thing with an electrician.
Electrician. So really what you're doing is you're not paying people because they're talented. You're paying people because of their knowledge and how to do it, right? Plumbing is not difficult. They have the knowledge to do it and the tools to do it, and you rather just have someone else do it and you're willing to pay for it, and not many people are willing to take that job. Therefore, it's a good opportunity to make money as a plumber if you take that route. So that's how I would say real estate is like different because everyone wants to be that agent. Everybody wants to show houses. Everyone wants that lifestyle, that luxurious lifestyle that comes with real estate. It is very hard to reach that luxurious lifestyle in real estate. You can make decent money, you can make shit ton of money, or you can make no money and lose it all. Because you're
Right.
always paying all these fees and fine, all these fees that you're paying, these membership and dues, and still you're not making anything. And you just lost a lot of money and time.
Mhm.
And most people unfortunately fall into that third category.
Right, of course. That's why it's very important to, if you're gonna be dedicated, be dedicated 100%. Well, anyway, Farbot, we've come to the end of our time, but I want to tell you thank you for being a guest on the show. And for all the listeners on Spanish United, we are on Spanish United Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, now known as X, where we are on YouTube. We are a nonprofit organization. Anything that anyone donates is used to help someone in the community. So as soon as I'm finished, I will send you the link. You can share with your colleagues. And again, Farba, thank you for being a guest on the show. I truly appreciate you
Thank
having
you.
me as a guest.
Yes. Thank you again, Enrique, for giving me the opportunity to be on the show and to talk about current housing market opportunities for buyers. Once again, my name is Farbod Azima. I'm a real estate professional at eXp Realty. My California real estate license number is 020133908. If anyone watching or listening to this thinking about buying or selling a home, I would be more than happy to help guide you throughout the process. You can contact me directly at 818-454-4133. Thanks again for having me, Enrique. And I appreciate everyone for tuning in today. Have a
You
good one.
too. Take care. Bye-bye.